Hey, it's part 2. We're back talking about pain and changing your environment. Big picture, right, is, hey, am I stressed in my life? Did I have a fight with my wife or my boyfriend or my girlfriend? Did my dog die? True facts. These are all cases we've seen in the gym. Hey, why is your foot hurt? I see you're back in your boot. Yeah, I don't know. It started killing me. Tell me about your life. My dog just died. Oh, well, maybe that has something to do with it. So we know that the brain is complicated and sophisticated. And taking care of some of those big picture windows, those big ideas, the big environmental issues, sleep, stress, feeling safe, nutrition, all of those things, man, those matter. But little window matters too. What is going on with my movement? That could even be considered maybe in the middle. But really, what's happening at a local tissue thing? What's the small window, small picture? And one of the things that we are always looking at is, well, what's going on in the neighborhood? So imagine that I have some small myofascial issue, something hurts, right? Something's going on. Well, one of the things that we ask is, what can you control? What can you change? In changing this, and this is important because I think Thomas Myers described this best at Anatomy Trains, is that he said, he cares less about the mechanism of change, right? Did you change fluid dynamics? Did you change pressures in the tissues? Did you reperfuse something? Did you change a force pulling on a tendon? Like whatever it is, it doesn't matter, right? We're probably impacting a lot of those things. What matters is test and retest. But in the situation here, if I'm talking about changing the environment, one of the places to look is at these osteofascial connections. These connections where connective tissue meets bone, right? That's fascia, connective tissue, bone, osteo. So one of the things that we see a lot when we're addressing what seem to be really common musculoskeletal problems, like for example, we've had a question come through around sort of posterior tibialis tendinitis or shin splints, is that if we looked at the foot, well, I'd say, well, are your feet working like feet? Tell me about your environment, right? Are you eating? Are you sleeping? Doing all those things? And that's difficult to have a conversation in a meaningful, cogent way, but we have to have those conversations. But also I'm like, well, how's that tissue working? So your tissue should slide and glide, especially at these interfaces around the bone. And what we see a lot of times is that down here at this retinaculum, which is this band of connective tissue that kind of encircles the ankle and keeps all the tendons from bowstringing, these tissues become just tacked down for whatever reason. The leg is dependent, it's always fighting gravity, it's the bottom of a gravity well. You did a whole bunch of partying and dancing and then just sat down in an airplane from Ibiza, you know who you are. But the idea is, man, we see a lot of adaptation errors. And if we start to look at these tissues as a whole, as it relates to the connective tissue sliding, or even the entire fascial sheath wrapping around this, sometimes just restoring motion, right? Ida Rolf, if something's not moving, get it moving. If something's not in the right place, get it in the right place. Pretty simple idea. And one of the techniques that we love is using the Voodoo floss. And if you grab a tissue, 50% tension, 50% overlap here, you can handle pretty large forces here. But one of the things that we know makes a difference in sometimes simple myofascial pain here is just to restore sliding surfaces. And that term comes from Gil Hedley, uber anatomist to the stars. And that's an easy catch-all to talk about, well, how well are nerves running through nerve tunnels? How well are tendons running through tendon sheaths? Is the skin all adhered down? Is it like wet panini with spikes in it? Or are you super supple and slidey? And one of the things that we know is it's difficult to change a lot of those things. So look what I've done. All I've done is Voodoo wrap this in, getting a good grip through the entire sort of circumferential fascial sheath. And just by adding this rotation into it and then moving my ankle around, man, I'm pulling and pushing on a lot of tissues nearby. Imagine this is the elbow, and this is one of the ways that we try to hammer out and improve the environment. Little picture in painful elbow areas is that we restore motion and we add a ton of rotation. We have the person rotate underneath. It's like I'm grabbing this whole chunk and then rotating underneath it, right? My body should be like that slippery Shar-Pei puppy as I grab on the skin and it's trying to weasel itself out, right? Well, the same thing is true here. And so it's an easy thing to do to get a ton of motion in, But let's not forget that just by compressing and restoring this sliding, we may be changing some dynamic of the system. That the anterior fascial sheath, this compartment, may have a little bit more room or not be as snug down, or the posterior tib may have a little bit more breathing room, or we've changed fluid dynamics, or we've restored how the skin is sliding over the bones and how this fascia is relating to the retinaculum. It doesn't matter. What matters is, do I have any movement in this system? Can I change this system? Is there something I can do locally? Even just the compression, we may be getting some localized BFR results here. Guess what? It doesn't matter. What matters is little picture when you have a hot spot, being able to jump on this and manage it when your body's first alerting you to the problem is the game. So take these hot spots seriously. If you've got a little pulley, something ugly, something feels a little off, this is why we want to do a better job of conjoining the stimulus for adaptation, exercise, with the diagnostic tool. So how do I know what's going on? Well, I just had a stimulus for adaptation. I just exercised and I get this feedback mechanism. And the more closely I can conjoin these things to those things, the less these things get in my way. Address your little picture. Don't forget the big picture. And are you like layers of warm silk sliding over steel springs? You got this.